Hello, this is Gray Hughes of Gray Hughes Investigates on YouTube. Please hit this like button, share the video, and subscribe. In today's video, we'll see a full timeline of the White Elantra, the DoorDash driver, the tan vehicle, the audio, and we'll see the movements of the White Elantra, and then the parts where the camera doesn't pick it up. That's when I'll show you footage that I filmed when I was there, so you get a full picture of all of the movements. Obviously, the Idaho Statesman put out I think it was a 12-minute long video, but it's 52 minutes long, so they sped up a whole bunch of portions. And so what I did was, in some areas, I slowed it down. You have to slow it down to 6.67% speed, and then you get the correct seconds count, but you only have basically 2 frames a second. So it's really, it's not the greatest in some areas, but they left out some really significant portions, and that I've sort of back engineered, put it back in. There was many times also that they made some frames or some seconds like 1/10 of a second, or it was really crazy. So I had to go in and manually grab the second and then force it to be 30 frames a second, and then put it back in so I could get it all to an even flow. And even doing that a couple times, the seconds just they skipped a second or so here and there, but I've put it back together. So when you're watching that, just realize this took many hours to make, a couple days. That's why I haven't put out any other videos or anything. So I hope you guys watch the entire video. It really paints a creepy picture of what went on that night. And I think Kohberger was just absolutely committed to commit the murders that night, no matter what, given the time frame in terms of his license plate being changed pretty soon. He needed to time it for that. It was the last weekend before a holiday, and then he would have his new plates before when he came back, so he needed to get it done that night, and that's why he took all the risks, and knowing that there was movement and motions going around. And you could see he was really paranoid at the other vehicles that had shown up. He drives a couple times really slow on the Elantra Drive heading north. All right, so let's get started on it right now. So this first shot is, as it says on the screen, at 1320 Linda Lane, and there is the camera. Now this is only going to focus inside what I call the complex, meaning King Road area, behind 500 Queen Road, etc. I'm just putting this part in as sort of the kind of an intro coming in. Banfield is there on the right. There's Sigma Chi, and this was exactly what the Elantra with Kohberger driving it would be looking at. And then right now it turns left onto King Road, and this is pass number 1. And then here comes the vehicle on the screen. It's on King Road, and it's turning onto Queen Road. And then I pick it up with a camera from when I was in the vehicle driving the exact same routes back in 2023 in December, so it was really cold out as well. And here we are, we're driving behind 500 Queen Road, and I made the video match the speed that Kohberger was driving. So as you can see, in the bottom of the screen is a clock, a running clock, and it matches up there to the surveillance timeline. And there goes the Elantra back behind 500 Queen Road, and here's the vehicle driving behind 500 Queen Road, turning around. Now keep in mind, every time the vehicle comes around right in this area coming up, the headlights hit the top of 1127. I don't show that until the final pass, but just realize that every single time you came around, just right there, the headlights hit the top of 1127. And then the vehicle parks. Now this is going to represent the actual amount of time that the vehicle was back here, because he stayed back here for over a minute. just waiting, probably watching the residents. And it makes you wonder if he was going to go in earlier, but I think he could see that there was still some sort of motion, or maybe lights were on up in Maddie's room. We don't really know. But, you can see when he doesn't have the lights on, it does get pretty dark here. So I would imagine after he parked his vehicle, he turned off his lights. It's interesting when you watch the surveillance footage during the 52 minutes or so, there's just various lights and so forth that you see at times in different places. There's one in particular right around 4:20 and some odd seconds on King Road. I was just wondering if that was actually a light somehow generated from Kohberger's vehicle. But see, that's how long he stayed back there. Now he's driving out and will pass 1112 King Road right now. There it is. And then he exits onto King Road. And this is what it would look like from inside the vehicle. There's Sigma Chi right in front. And then turns onto Taylor Avenue, and then it becomes Willanta Drive right here at the sign. And then as the vehicle's driving back behind here, right in this position, look above where the arrow's pointing. That's the vehicle on Willanta Drive driving by. Alright, so now we're switching over to pass number 2 coming up. Now look up above, near where it says Idaho Statesman. Here comes the Elantra coming back in, and now it's 3:38. And this stuff here is where I slowed it down to 6.67. So you're only getting 2 frames a second. And now it's coming on to King Road. And here comes the vehicle. And then turning onto Queen right here. Then it's again going to pass the 1112 King Road camera. And drive up here. Now, I don't really use the audio because I'm just rapping and, not rapping, but talking in this portion. But here it comes back behind 500 Queen Road, and then you can see the time. It's married up perfectly. And sometimes it's off by a frame or two. But the vehicle's driving behind 500 Queen Road. And then we pick it up back here again. And now it's behind 500. It was on the side of it before. It was heading south. Now the vehicle is heading west. And we'll park again. This time it doesn't park for as long of a time. So you can see the time at the bottom, 3:39:50. But it does likely park back here. I guess it's possible he stayed in his car and he drove incredibly slow. But I think he parked and was watching the building, and then he would turn his lights off each time. And so that was much shorter than the first time. And then it passes the 1112 King Road camera, goes on to King Road, and then we'll turn west onto Taylor Avenue, and then south onto Willanta Drive. And again, you'll see the arrows of the vehicle behind there. Now, I do think I've been able to determine the which vehicle. There's 2 times it goes south. See up above right there? Later, around like 350-ish, 352, there's two different sightings of the Elantra going, or a vehicle going south twice. And based on the headlights, I think I was able to determine which one it was. So here comes the Elantra into the area. Or actually, this is the DoorDash driver, excuse me. That's the DoorDash driver. And that vehicle above was not the Elantra right there at 351. The DoorDash driver right now is parked, I think, in the back at this point and walked down. So she was parked in the front, went in the back, and then walked down with her flashlight looking for the address of 1122 King Road. And as you could see, there's a little bit more information available when you slow it down. You could actually see her walking in as well. It was blurry because, again, it was 2 frames a second. And then she walked by right there. And this is 15 times the speed that I slowed down. So you can see the clock is pretty close. It's off just slightly, maybe half a second or so. Very difficult to completely get everything together. And then I think up above we'll see a vehicle driving by. See right there, there's the second one going south. I think that is Kohberger's white Elantra. Had the exact same light shape. The other ones were more of a slit looking light. The first set that drove by, you might want to go check that out again. So it drove south. And here comes, as the DoorDash driver was walking up, she passed a tan vehicle. And here it comes. It's leaving. So it drove down Queen and then is exiting on King. And I believe it turns east on Taylor because we do not see it up above. But tonight we're going to go over this in great detail because there's a lot of little things that you can see. So here comes the Elantra coming back into the area just after the tan vehicle left. But he does not go in to the complex. In fact, he sort of waits somewhere because we have no evidence it drove by that 1320 Linda Lane camera. And then eventually it comes back in right here at 356. So 3 minutes after it passed up above, it came in, so it went somewhere first. Some crazy sounds there. Sometimes when you slow it back down again, you get some artifacts in there. So here it is behind 500 Queen Road. The DoorDash driver has likely, she got to her car and then moved to the front parking spot. Now I don't know if she parked all the way in or if she parked on the side of the road there. It's hard to know. So here comes the Elantra driving around. And just keep in mind the DoorDash driver is parked in the front. Now she isn't back here. And then the vehicle parks here for another shorter amount of time than the first one. I just use the same footage again for each time. It's the same. He does exactly the same thing. Now we don't know exactly where he parked on the fourth pass. He could have parked right where we're at, walked down to right there by that tree and cut in. Don't know. Could have parked in the very back and then walked down the steep hill behind the trees and everything. So here's the vehicle leaving now, and it had just passed the DoorDash driver. So he's aware that there's a car parked in front of 1122 King Road. And then here it is pulling out again onto Taylor. And keep track of the time. You can see look how much slower it would be moving, and it's probably monitoring, looking over there. And watch how slow it drives by up above there by the Statesman sign. See that? It's watching. Very slow up there. I kind of zoomed in a little bit there. And now here's the DoorDash delivery driver leaving. But listen, I'm playing the key fob sound here. Starts at like 3:59:47-ish. Now we can't hear it on this camera because it is, this is 2 frames a second. So right now, they're delivering the order at the front door. They got out of the car, the first 2 beeps, and they go to the front door. Now look, here comes the Elantra. He's looking in and can see that the car's still there, so does not enter the complex. And this is when he drives around by Ridge Road, and his license plate is not, it's not on the front of the vehicle. So it drove by. Now look, after it beeped twice, the DoorDash driver gets into their car and they drive away. See this? Now it's 4 o'clock and 46 seconds. So I'm wondering if they were parked sort of close to the road. All right, now we're on pass number 4, the final pass. There's actually like part A and B, but so here comes the vehicle after doing this whole loop around, passing Ridge Road. It drives around, and now it's coming back into the area. And he likely noticed that the DoorDash driver left because he was just 25, 30 seconds in front, and he saw the vehicle perhaps in his rearview mirror behind him. But he might not have seen it, and it's possible when he comes back in, that's why he does the 3-point turn, because he noticed, he wanted to make sure that that vehicle wasn't there. So here it is turning onto Queen Road. And that's driving behind 500 Queen Road, and it's going really slow this first pass. This is the actual speed here. I had to slow down my travel, when I was there, just to match it. So he's driving really slow, and then he comes back here, and this is where he does a 3-point turn, and likely he was driving slow, probably slower in front of 1122 King Road, the house where all 4 victims were killed, and to see what was going on. So now he's going back to check again. So look, he parked back here for just 10 seconds or so, and then he backs up, does a 3-point turn. And then goes back down Queen Road. Now I actually drove that at one point. It's right here. So you can see the headlights are hitting the top of 1119 King Road, and then as it goes down, the headlights dip. You can see that. And here comes the vehicle down Queen Road and is going to kind of stop right here. This is where it tried to stop or turn around. It appears not where they said in the probable cause. They said in front of 1122 King Road, but he looks like he tried to turn around in front of 1112 King Road, and then turns south really quickly on King, backs up, heading north with the back end of the vehicle, and then turns left and heading east onto Queen Road. And here it is again, driving back behind. Now this is it. This time the vehicle does not stop. And in fact, it's driving pretty quick around here. Comes around this corner and then really accelerates through here. I mean, it really is driving incredibly fast for this small area back here. Yeah. Look at this, is exactly how fast that vehicle had to have gone. I mean, it's crazy, but the timing says so, even on the surveillance camera, because the headlights, see that right there, the arrows? The headlights hit the top of 1127 as it was turning. And then it parks here, and this is the entire time. Now what I do is I show the surveillance shot from 1112 King Road for the entire time. After a few minutes, like 30 seconds here, I switch over. And here we go. And this is the footage slowed down, because this is all sped up 15 times. You can see right there, Idaho Statesman has 15 times speed, but I slowed it down, again, to 6.67%, which if you multiply that by 15, 6.67, you get 100. And so this is the time. I mean, I'd love to have the original. Hopefully we'll get that at some point. Because during all of this time, he's either right outside his vehicle getting ready to go in, or he's entering in at some point. But I don't think he even enters the home until like 4:12 or 4:13 at the earliest. As you can see by the animation that I made, he easily could have committed these homicides in like a 3-minute time frame. And as a matter of fact, law enforcement timed it and said 2 to 4 minutes. So if he's leaving before 4:19, 4:14 is a time frame that he could have entered the house. 4:15. And if you heard a dog barking just a minute ago, that was likely my dog outside. It wasn't part of the video. So you can hear some audio, but you got to realize that it's pretty distorted because it's only 2 frames a second that were captured. Maybe at the end I'll put the same video and then I'll put the animation in it. So it'll be, a really long video, but I'll do one without commentary, or maybe I'll put another version out with no commentary and the animation in it. But this one I'm commenting, but we're going to go over this all in detail tonight and look at various things. I mean, wouldn't you just love to have the full audio from here? And I think it would have also picked up the key fob sound had it not been 2 frames a second. You know, it's hard, like that beep could have been missed easily each time. So I tried listening for it, but you can't hear it because it's just distorted. One interesting thing is you can definitely hear at the end Murphy barking. I mean, in the part that they sped up, there's a dog barking. Okay, I think it might be Murphy. It might be another dog closer to the camera here because it's really loud, but they obviously boosted up the audio at some point. And law enforcement believes it's Murphy, and there's a person that owns that type of dog and said they bark like that. A lot of people don't think that that's Murphy, including Steve Goncalves, but I think there's a good chance it is. But you can see, look how dead it was out there. There hasn't been one other vehicle driving by yet. So that's another element of, circumstantial evidence that they could be using. And you play this whole video and you see just like one or two, you have the DoorDash driver and the tan vehicle and one other light up there on Willanta Drive. 3 different vehicles moving around in a 52-minute time frame other than the Elantra. So the Elantra would be the 4th. And those only move by one time. It's just astounding to me that there's still the Kohberger element out there that continue to pretend. One person wrote me and said, well, Kohberger could have defended himself and then he would have got a new trial and likely would have been exonerated. What? Likely exonerated? What the hell are you talking about? My God, you're almost excited that he could have gotten off. He's admitted being the killer, you guys. He is the killer. He even took a plea deal with no chance to appeal. I mean, of course, you can appeal various things, and the judge will look at it and say, well, you waived your right to appeal, and probably just deny it. So he has all kinds of ways that he can appeal. I've said that many times. People think I don't think he can appeal. But yeah, he can appeal, but a judge will look at it and say, you waived your right to appeal. And unless it's something, astoundingly egregious, it's just going to say, well, look, you've already signed that paper. Did you hear that? See, there was sound right there. See that? Oh man, we gotta get that audio. Because that was at 4:15. That's almost right when he'd be up in, Madison's room. And there was some sound there. And there was a little bit of the light source right there if you want to. That came from the north, so don't know what that is. It's not Kohberger, though. He's inside the house. But man, you could definitely hear more voices and activity at 4:15. It's just 2 frames a second, so no way to make out anything. And that's the Statesman's wording. So that audio of the dog barking has been boosted up dramatically by them. So that's me slowing this down. You can still hear Murphy barking. They skipped right over this part. Or whatever dog this is still barking. He still doesn't leave for 2 more minutes. He's likely outside. They said he left before 4:19. Now there's some lights over here that move around or turn on, and I'm wondering if that's associated with the Elantra. See how that light turned off over there? Like that's his car door opening somehow shines over there. I don't know, but... Look how fast he's going. And right there, he knows he's home free. Yeah, well, there you have it, you guys. I hope you guys found that interesting. So just keep in mind I had to back engineer some of the audio. Hopefully we'll get the full video at some point soon here where we can go through it. I don't know why the bigger networks don't do stuff like that. It seems pretty obvious that that's something you would do. Why not just put the entire 52 minutes out there for the public to look at? Although I sort of understand the Kohbergers would turn it into something that it's not, just to sell their narrative. So who knows? But I think it should be available for people to see. So tonight we're going to go over this whole thing meticulously and see what we're observing. They're just it's just so interesting to see him circling like a shark and then being concerned by the DoorDash delivery. I don't know if he saw the tan vehicle, although he's only like 30 seconds behind that vehicle too, when he drives back, heading north on Willanta Drive back there. You know, it's interesting that he seems to do these U-turns a couple times on Willanta Drive when another vehicle's around, because he's monitoring. He wants it to be for himself. He can't stand that there's some other people in the area. But at the very end, as long as the vehicle wasn't still in front of the house and took off, he was willing to risk it because it was go time and he had to get the killings done that night. All right, well, hope to see you guys this evening. Thank you very much for watching. And as I always say, everybody, until next time, be safe out there.